Poisonrana.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Poisonrana Live. You found us, whatever podcast app you're listening to right now. You should hit that follow, hit that subscribe. But it's Sunday, June 1st, 2 p.m. Eastern, and we are
live on youtube.com/@PoisonRanaPod. Hello, YouTube room. How are we doing?
Hello, everybody. Hello, all our friends. Hello, all our frogs out there. Drop a frog in the YouTube chat if you are here today. But an important question. What's up?
What's up? Yeah.
What's up?
Some big breaking news coming this morning, this Sunday morning. I guess we should get right into it as you brought it up. R-Truth leaving WWE.
I hate this leaving. This is their way of they're angry. People kept saying, "Oh, they fired or released." They're releasing him. They're not renewing a new contract with him. It's just easier to say that he's leaving because they're not hiring him anymore. They've changed their logistics of how they're doing these things. But leaving WWE, it doesn't necessarily sound like he's leaving, but they're not giving him a new contract. So
yes, it's not a release. A release is fired. A release is terminating you from your contract. You sign a deal to work 5 years or whatever.
But they're used to just cast that net and re-sign everybody. And then when they're done with you, they, like Andy, they drop the toy. But now they've changed the way, because they definitely saw the negativity over the years of people being like, "Oh, the release day." And they're like, no more of that. Now contract.
They are still releasing people as well. It's not like they've got out of their old ways either.
But still, it's like, oh, you're choosing to not have someone work on your show in your company that has been there for what seems like quite a long time. Twice he's been in the company twice. So I kind of almost thinking it was a bit of an R-Truth bit, really, when he goes on social media. He's like, WWE let me go, they're not renewing my contract. He's like, maybe he just didn't read it properly, and it's not
you're expecting it's like Ron Cena has been signed now or something like that. But all accounts, it seems legit. Ron Killings tweeted this morning, "I'm sorry to inform you all, I just got released from WWE. I want to thank WWE for the ride, but mostly I want to thank each and every of you who was along for the ride. Thank you all for all the love, support, and appreciation you have given me over the years. Thank you." And the like praying hands emoji. But Fightful then confirming that it is his contract's not being renewed. And apparently backstage news is like everyone's pretty upset about this one, and seems like it's been taken even harder than some other releases or non-renewals we've had over the years. But what are your thoughts? Obviously, Truth was just in the big event last week, Saturday night's main event as well.
It sucked so much that they chose not to give him a new contract, I guess. No, I don't think it was his fault necessarily. You know what? I'm kind of shocked just because they've done a good job of making him a character that people seem to universally love. Like it's kind of, it is a shock because it's like he's been used in some great stuff over the years. Think back like his character where he's been silly and playing kind of Dumb and Dumber, where, he's brought a ladder into the Royal Rumble, and he showed up the Brock stuff. Like he's done a lot of big funny stuff that I say has really gotten over. So I'm just like, oh wow, like definitely kind of shocked. He seemed like he's been a staple for WWE as of late, but to come out right after, like a week after him being in that slot, it's like they gave you the John Cena happy ending, and then that's it. So now you can fantasy book all the indie feds that he's going to do those spots in. He's going to show up ready to fight John Cena in a rematch at GCW, at All In, Texas. He's going to show up on all these places doing like similar bits. At least that'll work for a while because he was like gifted with this silly kind of character. And I think that will translate really well if he continues to. And I imagine he will continue to do stuff in this like field. I know he still is releasing music and still doing that kind of stuff. So I don't think he's an older guy considering in the world of wrestling, but you wouldn't know it because it doesn't age like like he's still in fantastic shape. So I think we'll be fine. I'm just like genuinely like, man, he's an easy guy. You need pin eaters. This is a guy who's an over character, even at house shows, which I guess they're scaling back on. You put him out any audience and people will react. So I'm genuinely like, that's kind of a bummer, but I guess they want to just move on with certain things. Maybe there's going to be some more non-contract extensions or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's we're talking about people's like livelihoods and stuff here. So like, but still, I kind of think it's really surprising, just mainly because how featured he's been in storylines the last few years with this Cena thing, but also quite recently the whole Judgment Day story that got pretty over as well, and just always, making the most of TV time. There was a period of time where R-Truth just completely disappeared from TV was like very rare appearances, and then started to come back quite a lot. It's it sucks, like losing your job or whatever, but you've got to think, we're going to talk later on this show about call-ups and the amount of talent that are in NXT right now, and the amount of other talent they're probably going to sign from other companies or whatever over the years. You can't keep everyone, and really, like, is R-Truth at 50 worth holding on? Is it worth signing a new contract to just to have him there when he did have that injury not so long ago? He can't really go in the ring like he used to. He is, even though he doesn't look it, he is getting older. Is it worth investing like time and money in an R-Truth where you've got all these other people who knows from the PC who could potentially be the next R-Truth, who could be the next big like comedic character that is genuinely funny, that connects with people, that you can be using? And I think we're going to start seeing a bit of a clean out of the roster to make room for, your Ricky Saints, your Stephanie Vaquers, your Ethan Pages, Javon Evans, whoever you want to talk about being the next crop of people moving up. You've got to kind of get rid of people to make room for them as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess that's the move. But just last year, the year before that, when we were in Philly, everyone was joking, like with the cross promotion of WWE allowing people to do Bloodsport and some GCW, we were all joking that like, oh, wouldn't it be good if like the clusterfuck that R-Truth would show up in, and same thing, tries to set up and he's like, wait a second, this isn't the Royal Rumble. Like, I bet you're going to see as soon as he's able, it's probably 90 days because he's been on the main roster for like years, it seems. But I do imagine he'll do a lot of stuff. Think like we've seen wrestlers who leave WWE in this climate right now. Wrestling is hot, and he'll be absolutely fine. And I mean, I watched a lot of him in TNA back in the day when he was NWA World Champ, and that he could go back to TNA. There's another way into WWE.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets given a Legends contract very quickly. It's Legends like we're not Hall of Fame. We're not going to be paying you for this, but we want you. Like the Ron Cena T-shirt was just one of the highest selling pieces of merch recently.
That's what's crazy.
I can see just renegotiating a contract where you're going to be a legend. I think the Legends deal allows you to do some outside stuff as well, because he'll be in the mix. He'll show up at a Rumble here and there or that kind of thing. I'm sure this isn't the last we'll see of R-Truth on WWE TV, but from a business thing, maybe it's a contract. It's like, well, if we're renegotiating, normally, contracts, you get paid more in your next contract. So maybe it's like cut the bait and we'll see you down the road. Oh, I thought you looked deep in thought about what I was saying, but I'm pretty sure you're frozen. Hello. Yes, okay, Braden's frozen. CF here, he's just messaging me now. His internet went down. Okay, so I'll try and filibuster for a bit while Braden's trying to get back in the room. And yeah, what are some of your thoughts in there? Oh, here we go. I'm glad that was quick because I was worried I was just going to have to chat nonsense for the next 5 minutes.
It's okay. I guess the internet trolls turned me off. I don't know. Well, hopefully I'm staying connected. We'll see if this works. But yeah, you know what? I wouldn't be amazed if we get R-Truth getting a Legends deal, a Hall of Fame thing in the near future. Like it makes sense. Like the guy's older. Like, wrestling isn't necessarily the focus on. Like he's not going out to put on. Like he's not trying to be world champion. You know, well, I guess.
I think it was B in our chat group that suggested he gets inducted in the Hall of Fame next year, but shows up in New Orleans.
Right. Yeah. Yep. You could do that. You could do
kind of
again. There's so many. You're gonna see him get that deal, and I think they'll use him, bringing him in for different things, especially like him being the goofball gimmick and stuff. But again, he does so much outside of WWE already that right now, like this is probably a bit of a fun, this will be a lot of fun for him to do more of his music and all that stuff. So bless him in whatever he does. So pour one out, if you will, because it's our truth. We're gonna miss him.
Who's NWA champion right now? That's something he could always go and win another time.
Win it back. Yeah. I wonder if he can use the name R-Truth. I know in TNA he was Ron the Truth Killings.
Truth Killings, right? Yeah.
But in WWE he said R-Truth was because like that was his name back in the day. So Ron the Truth Killings will definitely be the
it's
name.
Tom Latimer. Yeah, fuck it, mate. Put it on Ron.
Yeah, fuck yeah, Ron. We appreciate. Yeah, definitely. You know, some people in the Poisonrana joined our Facebook group because we have a chat on there, and some people were saying that now I'm forgetting what they were saying. People were saying that he's got to show up in all the different companies, and now I'm blanking on completely what he's saying. This show's off to a great start because Sino has pointed out that the show title says we're live July 1st. So happy Canada Day, everybody here, and Sino throwing my game off here.
There we go. Okay. Oh, I can't change it to laughter. Whatever. Yes, it's July.
The chat was saying we should do a BME R-Truth, and it got me laughing. Like, gun to my head, I probably couldn't even name you a good R-Truth match in WWE. I'm not slighting him. I am a fan. I'm just like, what matches did he even have?
Like, honestly, the only match I remember is the tag match against Rock and Cena.
Right. Okay.
There was the John Cena title. There was a match against Smoking Truth.
R-Truth smoking a cigarette. That was the highlight for me in WWE. That I'm not even a cigarette smoker. I've never had one, but just the visual of that was so funny because we're in a PG era, and they're like, "Ooh, what could we do to make this heel so dastardly?" All right, let's have him smoke a cigarette. What? No, you can't do that on TV on pay-per-view. What?
I'm looking through his cage match at highest rated matches, and I've got to go down to number 27 before a singles match is listed, and it's Elix Skipper.
Rumbles don't count.
Ron Killings, yeah.
Elix Skipper
versus Ron Killings, yeah.
I was gonna say his TNA, like he's had some fun matches. I think back.
But even looking in TNA, it's a lot of 4-ways, a lot of triple threats, a lot of that kind of thing.
He did a lot of like X Division style stuff back in the day, like the high flying. But yeah, I think he's more known for his like promos and his funny kind of stuff. Chris Jones in the chat saying maybe do it R-Truth's funniest moments. Yes, we'll do it maybe a something down the line, but we're gonna be. I'm sure we'll still be talking about R-Truth. He's definitely gonna pop up in all the independent wrestling feds near you. So be cool for him to go on that run if that's something, or not. Maybe he just like chills because he's probably fucking doing fine after a career in WWE and everything. But we're pouring one out.
He's someone that doesn't really need to do much, like wrestling wise, on the indies. You know, he can get paid very handsomely, show up and do a spot, or rap. About it. Yeah,
I want the R-Truth Jeff Hardy crossover wrestling performance in 2025.
Sure, you enjoy that.
Give the people what they want. You know, get a whole whole wrestling thing going on. Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna do more music. I know he still does, but. Bless R-Truth. I'm sorry. That's honestly kind of shocking. Like, how much money are they making from that T-shirt just from last week? Like, come on. Yeah. Come on. That's crazy. That's crazy. They've done that before, right? Like, you're hottest selling people, and they're like, actually, you know, people are reporting Karrion Kross is selling really well lately, and he's not really a focus on TV right now, but his shirts are cool.
I mean, he's focused every week, but not wrestling-wise, but character-wise, he's been getting over with people.
I think he is slowly kind of just because, again, wrestling isn't necessarily his forte, but maybe everything else kind of works out. But
now I wonder when his contract is actually up. We talk a lot of the time on here about it's weird in wrestling how someone leaves the company and they're just not mentioned at all. Whereas any other TV show, you'd write them off. And you would think you've had the opportunity for like Cena to absolutely destroy him and send him packing, like do the Ricochet style, put in an ambulance kind of thing. I get the sense we won't be seeing him again, but why not? Like do an angle to write off R-Truth.
Yeah, we're gonna jump into everything wrestling and as well as some WWE talk, AEW talk, but like that is definitely a head scratcher there. Like the guy is having a feud with John Cena in the Last Time Is Now tour. Has his own ripoff of a T-shirt. I'm sure sold lots. I'm sure today, even announcing the release, maybe made people go and buy it even more. Wonder if it was on discount. But like, you're gonna release him, then work it into like a story or something. Have Cena, like, to me, this run is a complete bust. And I was someone who was like, oh, I'd be psyched if they did a little R-Truth feud. And from the beginning, from the FU through the table, it sucked balls. And then it ended, and I hated it. So like, they kind of messed it up, and then they let him go, or they didn't release him, but they're not going to renew him. It's like, oh, okay. But he still faced John Cena on his way out, so you can't take that away from him. But anyways.
Well, hello, we're Braden and Davie. We are Poisonrana. We go live most Sundays to talk about the whole world of pro wrestling and all the news to catch up on. We also have a show called Up Next on Tuesdays where we talk about NXT and often piss off people who have found us for the first time because we do talk about other stuff at the beginning of that show. Where's the NXT review? Yeah, just patience.
Read the results.
Yeah. So that's every Tuesday on the Post Wrestling Network. You can find us by searching Post Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts, or youtube.com/Post Wrestling. But we have a whole lot of shows on this very free feed right here. You have a detox show coming up, right?
We're supposed to record. We do a show once a month, in quotations, with myself and Jordynne Goodman from Post Wrestling. The what's his show called? The Forbidden Door?
Wellness Policy.
Wellness Policy. Well, the Wellness Policy meets Detox. We always do a show where we just ramble on and click record and don't have anything really planned and just talk a lot of nonsense. And we were planning on doing it last Tuesday, but Jordynne realized he double booked. He Fred Flintstone. He made plans with his friend to go see Lilo and Stitch in theaters and blew me off to go watch that movie. So you know what I did? I spoiled it for him before he even went and saw it. I told him the changes in the new one without even myself seeing the movie, because someone on Twitter had posted, I can't believe they did in the new one. And I was like, oh, really? So hopefully that was real, because I tried to spoil it for him. But we're going to record a show tomorrow or Tuesday. We're going to record a detox, and it's going to be up on the free feed where we'll ramble on about some stuff. And we're going to talk about some summer concerts and probably theme parks, because this guy, I don't think he has a job. I think he just goes to theme parks and rainforest cafes, and then records podcasts. So we're going to do that on Tuesday. But the thread in the Facebook group is still open, so would love your random questions, because we do have a lot of fun reading random people's weird questions. So that is a highlight. That is a free show coming out this week, as well as Poisonrana Live. We're tentatively deciding what to do next week with Worlds Collide and the whole Money in the Bank, but follow our space. We will be doing something in some capacity on Sunday afternoon next week in some way, shape, or form. I just, again, follow for that. But we had a busy week because we were recording a bunch of shows, a show so good that I might put it out for free. I might have to, because it was a stacked show. We were joined by two really big guests, our boys, Benno and Hamflet, in your house from Grapple, What Culture, the British lads. I felt left out because three Brits, well, you're Canadian now, but three Brits and myself talking about John Cena in The Champ Is Here, episode 9. Benno and Hamflet join the BDE to talk all about Cena's 9th victory, win, and reign. 9th title, Wayne. We've watched so much John Cena in the last year that it's catching up with us. But thankfully, Benno and Hamflet join in on the John Cena hate, which I think this show is turning into more than a celebration. But this was a lot of fun, and it's up right now for all patrons. But I might be nice and give it to some people for free in maybe a week or so.
Yes, that show's on the feed. We also had our Final Destination reviews from the 6 with the new movie coming out. Has come out now. Braden and I wanted to go back and talk about the first one. And we love our horror reviews. You can find a bunch of horror reviews on this very free feed. We always go back and review a Halloween movie every Halloween. We've got some other stuff you can enjoy in this free feed. But over on the Patreon, we don't just talk about wrestling. We like to talk about some movies as well. So this was a pretty fun review we had up there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all over the place on our Patreon. We review lots of wrestling. We review lots of movies and different stuff. So Big Trouble in Little China was recently a movie. We've done some Black Mirror episodes, horror movies, tons of wrestling pay-per-view reviews, ECW, WCW, WWF, a whole lot of fun stuff. Next week is Worlds Collide. And you might be wondering, oh, why are they using that name? Isn't that something they've done before with NXT UK? It's actually something similar to a show they did many years ago when they did a AAA crossover show called When Worlds Collide. Shout out Power Man. So we thought it would be fun to go back this week and take a look at that. And I believe the show is available on YouTube somewhere for free. So again, follow the space. I'll probably link it up for people to check out because it features a bunch of crossover matches, Lucha Libre, and even Lucha Minis, which I think somehow we've avoided ever reviewing in our podcast, other than Triple Mania.
We've talked about WLC, if that counts.
WLC, yeah, that does count. Yeah, epic 5-star banger right there. But we're going to chat about When Worlds Collide. So there you go. Our Patreon is fucking banging this week with all these stuff with the champ is here with Worlds Collide and a bunch of movie reviews. Patreon.com/Poisonrana. $5. Become a friend right now. Become a family member if you want. And join in on the fun. We got some crazy shows lined up for you right now. Right now. Look through the shows while you're listening to this and go, wow, they've done some pretty crazy stuff on there. But hit that subscribe. Go to poisonrana.ca for links of everything that we do. And appreciate all the people following on the Instagram. If you use Insta, give us a follow and be our Insta friends. Finsta. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Well, let's get into some of the news, some serious stuff to start with before we go into AEW and WWE talk. John Laurinaitis, this was reported by Brandon Thurston on Post Wrestling. It has been dropped as a defendant in the Janelle Grant case. And in a statement said, John Laurinaitis has agreed to cooperate and provide evidence in Janelle Grant's lawsuit against Vince McMahon and WWE. The statement to Post Wrestling reads, his agreement to a confidential settlement is a pivotal next step toward holding McMahon and WWE accountable and bringing justice to Miss Grant after years of sexual abuse and trafficking. Mr. Laurinaitis looks forward to moving on with his life. We cannot provide any additional details at this time. So this isn't the first time Johnny Ace has switched sides. He originally came out when this all sort of came up and said, I'm as much of a victim. I was abused by McMahon as well. And then a few short months later, starts siding with Vince McMahon's camp against Janelle Grant, and now is actually supporting Janelle Grant in her case. Wow. Yeah, what are some of your thoughts about this?
Who do you think he is? The Big Show? Switching sides this many times in such a short amount of time? But the craziest things I'm seeing online is he's turned heel. I'm like, I don't know if that necessarily is, maybe you're playing for the wrong side. Like this is a tactical move for himself, I'm sure, but maybe he's worried. Maybe he's like, this is all leading to, they hope Vince is going to have a day in court. Like right now, Vince McMahon is not behind bars. Vince McMahon is chilling. He's in Saudi. He's on an island somewhere. He looks like he's doing fine, to be completely honest. But Johnny Ace kind of switching up here. I don't know. It's kind of telling, again, because he's already switched is kind of weird. And there must be something that we obviously don't know yet. There's probably a lot of stuff that we won't know that might not ever actually come to light. Whether this actually goes to court, whether or not this is just like, are they looking for that, or they're saying, oh, it's just a money grab, this and that? But I don't know. Johnny
it sounds
up.
like from like Ann Callis's statements, the lawyer of Janelle Grant, that they want to make this, they want it to be public.
Yeah.
They want to have their day in court and have him held accountable publicly. And I mean, it definitely, like, fucking Johnny Ace just seems like one of the weakest fucking human beings I can think of. But like, and doesn't seem credible either side now at this point with the flip-flopping. But maybe, I mean, it does look he's trying to just back the winning horse, I think, and maybe there's evidence we don't know about, and just seems very damning against Vince. And he's like, well, because I don't think Vince would. I don't think he gives a shit about this guy. Like, we saw it immediately when the initial reports came out that Vince was sticking around. Johnny Ace got let go immediately. You know, he's not afraid about having this guy as a fall guy, and maybe the wool's being pulled from his eyes now, and John Laurinaitis sees that and is like, oh, okay, well, he doesn't really give a shit about me. She is like, he's lost his marriage out of this. There's his reputation is shot. What
has he?
Whatever reputation. I'm pretty sure he's going through a divorce, or they're divorced already.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So maybe there's like a glimmer of actually, like, let me do the right thing, and if it can save his head in the process, why not?
Yeah, I don't know. Johnny Ace can't skateboard his way out of this one, but I'm happy to see that at least he's not like going for the opposite side and saying, getting more involved. I don't know.
For this, he's not a defendant, so he won't. He's scot-free, basically.
Yeah,
so I guess it makes more sense rather than him being with Vince and WWE and potentially getting like punished for this. Like, he's kind of free now from it by joining with Janelle Grant.
Yeah, I think that's definitely why he did it, like, so that maybe his hands can be clean of this and showing, hey, look, I actually support her claims and this and that. I don't know. Part of me just thinks we'll never have a Vince McMahon day in court. Is that just me being cynical? But like, am I alone on that? Like, I don't know.
No, I mean,
same people thought the same thing about R. Kelly and P. Diddy and many others, but I don't know. I wanted to, because I'm sorry, like, as much as this guy has done a lot for entertainment and WWE and all that stuff, like, reading this case, which I definitely would advise Triple H to take a read if he's got some free time. Just taking some time and reading some of the stuff in this case is fucking nuts. And like, I don't know. I've been a wrestling fan for a long time. There's plenty of guys out there, plenty of people out there, I should say, who've been wrestling fans longer than me. You know what we all have in common who've watched wrestling, WWE for a long time? We all have joked for years. This is the stuff he does on TV. These are the ideas that he does on camera. Just think of the stuff behind closed doors. Yeah. And now we're seeing some of the stuff come to light, and we might see more. I don't know, but I just don't understand, because talking to some friends, we have some friends who are like, he'll get off free. It's Vince McMahon, like, boys will be boys kind of stuff. And it's like, fuck, there's a lot of people out there that think that's the way. Maybe someone listening right now is like, it's Vince McMahon. It's really shitty, but like, I do hope this guy is held accountable for some of this awful, awful stuff that is, being thrown against him. I'm leaning towards that she's telling the truth, and fuck it, maybe even Johnny Ace is telling the truth here. So
I just think there's so much out there, like, just watch Dark Side of the Ring. He's the figure,
Dr. Doom,
like
Thanos,
right?
Yeah.
He's in every episode in some way or another. He shows up with a briefcase, and suddenly someone gets away with murder. Like, he's the Owen stuff, like there's so much, the steroid trials, the Ring Boy scandal that's that's ongoing. Like, I don't know. There's so many different things about him that to just think he's innocent on this one, I don't really buy it.
Yeah, I want to see where this leads, but again, like, I'm not necessarily hopeful that it would lead to a trial. I'm sure he would have I'm sure when it comes to it, he would just rather try to throw money at this to make it go away, because I'm sure he's got it. I'm sure he could sell that T-Rex in his office. He's got some bank to maybe try to make this go away, but maybe that's not what they're looking for. But I don't know. Everybody's got a price as well, I guess. But
I work with a guy who is kind of one of those people who was like, no, it's Vince McMahon, whatever. Yeah. And then I
a lot of people
I kind of told him everything, because I think so many people, especially with things like Twitter, you read a headline and that's it. You never read the actual article. You don't, and you just form an opinion based on whatever the headline is. And I went into like what the thing is, and he's like, "Oh, fuck that guy! What a piece of shit." But then he messages me earlier in the week, and he goes, "Vince McMahon is buying back WWE. Is this true?" And it was the first I'd heard of it, and I go and have a look, and then immediately the first thing I see is Jonathan Coachman on his podcast, and I was like, that's enough. I don't need to read any further than that. I was like, no, there's no way this is happening. The company is like, it's just worth so much anyway now. Like the money he'd need to buy it back. And I think shareholders, you know, it's, I don't think they'd let it happen. I don't think there's anything in this story. And I'm pretty sure it's Coachman just trying to get people to listen to his shitty podcast.
I don't like, maybe someone said something to him and he's like, oh, maybe Vince's, but yeah, I don't see that ever happening. Not at all. Again,
why would you're releasing our truth, one of the most popular people in the company. Everything, all the metrics have gone up since this guy left WWE. So like, why on earth would you allow the sale to happen?
Someone in the chat, Chris Jones says, Vince's mate is the president. He'll walk free. Yeah, that's another thing right now. Yeah, when's the next Chris Lee Knows Best that used to air before? I know I'm a Canadian, but I'm well traveled. I've been through the States, and sometimes I'd watch Monday Night Raw from my hotel room on Mondays, wherever I was on USA Network. And I knew enough that before the show, or was it after maybe, Chris Lee Knows Best would come on, and then he just got pardoned. Yeah, obviously his stuff is not necessarily like malicious shit. It's just like tax evading and fraud. And Trump is like, yeah, you're my mate and you supported me and your daughter supported me and you wear MAGA hats all the time. Fuck it, you're pardoned. Kind of weird, but they're already filming like their next reality show.
Are we going to get this? Because it was brought up that Vince McMahon has like filed for his new sports media and entertainment company, 14th and I. Is 14th and I just going to be made up of, you know, Chris Lee, Joe Exotic, P. Diddy, and Brock Lesnar? Is that what this entertainment company is going to be?
This is where my silly brain only wonders about the important stuff. Davie, you know, the whole world is like, oh, is Musk leaving because he's on drugs all the time? Is this and that? Why is Chris Lee getting pardoned, bro? Pardon Joe Exotic. Why are you letting that guy stay in jail? You know that damn Carol Baskins. She's a liar. Let this man free. Trump, I hate you with all my living power. But if you pardon Joe Exotic, I might have a 0.1 respect, because that guy is the only guy no one has ever like batted.
He tried to murder two people, and he fucking
he was just trying to
for years. Like,
he was just trying to.
I know he wears funny shirts and has a great country out.
Have you seen his new husband who got like iced out in the States? This guy, people are listening like, I thought this was a wrestling podcast. Bear with me. Obviously, we all watched Tiger King during the pandemic, and that's like 5-year-old news. However, he's still asking to be pardoned, and especially every time some fuckhead gets pardoned, Joe Exotic's people on Instagram are like, yo, pardon Joe Exotic. Like, they really thought that he was going to get pardoned, and he hasn't. But he posted photos of his like boyfriend or husband in jail, and they wrote each other like love notes and stuff. First time in my life I've ever seen someone give someone a love card with prints of their butthole. Fellas, we got to step it up. Ladies, you got to step it up. Yeah. What do you wonder to get for Valentine's Day, your hubby's birthday? Get prints of your butthole. Yeah, we got to step it up. That's some romantic shit right there. The thing was, it was such a wide print. Joe Exotic's got that fucking mountain lion.
Man, it's Sunday afternoon. What are we doing?
The Lord's Day. About this all I'm saying is fuck Elon Musk and his ketamine doped up thing, allegedly, I guess. And fuck Donald Trump for not pardoning Tiger King, but maybe he'll pardon Vince McMahon if ever this gets that way.
Not on the same page on that one, but I wish him well with his new husband.
No, he's not. It's not doing well. He got like picked up by ICE. So
what are you gonna
Trump
do?
really hates this guy.
Yeah. Shall we get into some wrestling?
I think so. Yeah, let's talk about some wrestling. Where do you want to start today?
Should we start with AEW right now? I feel like that's the hotter thing at the moment as we're on the road to All In Texas.
Yeah, I don't like WWE is super hot right now, but it's boring to me. It's been really boring. I didn't really necessarily love the road to WrestleMania, and everything past it has not connected with me as much. So I've kind of fell off of like my investment levels where I don't know, the Netflix thing felt super good and people seem to be like kind of down on AEW, whereas I don't know, AEW, the wrestling, the stuff has really picked up for me, at least I think in the last little bit.
Yeah, I found it interesting because I think for such a long time, AEW was still obviously like they put on great matches all the time. And I remember being on this show just being like, it sounds stupid, but I'm just jaded of just good wrestling matches. I need more than just two good wrestlers going out having a good wrestling match. I need some story. And when I mean story, I mean like emotional connection with that story and depth. So whatever you're doing in the ring at the end pays it off. And I think AEW's been doing that fantastically recently. And WWE, it's kind of gone the other way around where I was invested in the stories. And, you know, WWE is about moments and things, and they've always done that well. And whereas, yeah, recently I'm just not really invested in any story that's going on. I'm not particularly invested in any character right now. But you throw on more so Raw, but you throw on a Raw NXT SmackDown, there's still some good wrestling on there. I think some of these triple threat matches we've had for these qualifier matches have been really entertaining. And I think on this Worlds Collide show especially, I think we're going to get some great matches on it. NXT has had some really hot shows recently with some great matches, but there's no kind of overarching story that I'm compelled to tune into every week. And I felt a year ago we were saying the same about Dynamite, and now I'm so interested in this like Ospreay Swerve Hangman thing that's going on, amongst other stuff that's going on the build to All In.
I feel like the main story of WWE lately is money. How can we get the most money out of you fucking marks? And I don't know. It makes me I definitely didn't have FOMO for WrestleMania this year. I definitely won't have it for Vegas 2 years in a row. And like I said, this John Cena run is a bust for me. It stinks. I hate it. I really don't like it. It's not entertaining at all. And you're teaming up with Logan Paul and then Jey Uso. That's a whole other thing. I don't know. I just have now really quickly have gravitated back to some AEW. And I think I'm not alone on that. I think a lot of other people maybe, flip-flop of only so many hours in a week that you can watch wrestling, and you sometimes have to pick. And I don't know, lately I've been feeling Dynamite and week to week again a little bit, and so much that me and you were like, fuck it, let's go to All In. And that's exactly where we weren't feeling that when it was announced.
I feel I feel what's really helping them is they're focusing solely on what AEW is doing. And I think for the longest time, I think AEW was at its hottest, the build to Hangman winning that title, right? And then you had kind of your CM Punks, your Daniel Bryans coming in, and especially with Punk, which this is now your top star, they're changing their stories. Like, they're like, okay, we've got to get this belt onto Punk now. And Hangman's title just ended abruptly. And then all the stuff going forward from Punk pretty much from then onwards, from that workers' rights promo and all that. And you'd see, like, you'd watch some of these press conferences and Tony would be doing these like digs at WWE all the time. And I think what's interesting is he was asked this week about WWE constantly, counter programming, booking against them. And I think Tony Khan a year or two ago would have just gone on one of his tirades, I'm not fucking taking this fucking shit, all that stuff he did in the presses before. Whereas this time he was like, yeah, funny that's happening. last time that happened so often, I guess, was during Jim Crockett days, but this won't turn out the same way. Anyway, moving on. And I thought the way he dealt with that was so much more like professional than he's been in the past. And Ospreay in this opening segment of Dynamite he didn't say it, but he was talking about, the feeling being restored and all that. And these guys are that. But he kind of, without saying it, was, look at this arena. There's more people here now than there were last year. And we're about to do probably 20,000+ in a stadium. And then Forbidden Door is going to be about 20,000 as well. We're doing these big shows. The Mexico Grand Slam is selling well. He's like, look, the noise is getting louder. Everything is clicking now. And you look at the three guys in the ring, and it's three young, hot stars who are the future. It's not your Jerichos. It's not your Punks. It's not your Christian Cages or whoever. Even it's your future. It's your future of this company. And I think this opening promo, more than anything, just established these are the guys you should be watching. These are our main event talents. These are our Rock, Austin, Triple H, or whatever you will, with these three. And I think it's working for them because it's much more. Dynamite's becoming much more. I kind of want to watch it live again. I've been in the case of watching it 3-4 days after the fact, and I'm eager to, especially like this story going on, your world title picture story, and the lingering feud of Swerve and Hangman and where Ospreay fits into it all. I'm really compelled, and I want to know what the next chapter is. And I know you're going to be gifted with great matches coming out of it with these guys as well.
Yeah, the thing with Tony Khan, maybe that's media training. Maybe finally they've worked on that, because I thought he came across way better.
Big Boom AJ kind of taught him that as well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I watched Dynamite. I've been in the last while. It's been a funk of like, I'll watch it when I watch it kind of thing and try to avoid. And then I just didn't really care and just watched it. And this past little while, I'm like really amped up, like into some of the stories, and starting this week's Dynamite with Swerve, Ospreay, and Hangman. You're like, oh, sorry, the next few years are these three, and you're telling us right now, yeah, all right, I'm gonna be seated. I'm watching. I'm gonna watch this, and I one day we got to get that triple threat. But I really liked these three, and Ospreay coming across as this again. We've said it in the past while. It's not new news, but the most well-rounded wrestler. Like his promo. The only thing is his hair, I think, is the issue, as his missus would say.
It'll be different next week. We know now.
Hopefully, he said he's getting a cut. So because his wifey said, yeah, your hair's got to get something done with that. But I'm bald. Who am I supposed to be saying? But like I don't. It didn't necessarily bother me. It's just funny that he's been getting a lot of comments about that. But I love Swerve, Ospreay, Hangman. If these are our three nights going forward, yeah, Ospreay is the like genuine baby face. It's not his time right now, but this is like teasing, because I did check out Collision just before recording today, and like they did do an angle between Swerve and Hangman again, where this time they're getting in a physical like fight backstage, which like there's no way we're getting Swerve Ospreay at All In as well, right? Like I figured these two somehow are gonna figure it out and then work against the Bucks would be the match. But is that too like small town?
I prefer to see a singles match between them. But
either of those matches sound good.
I feel the tag match makes more sense. I think the Bucks are a big act. They are a main event act, and we've seen it in the past where they've paired two singles guys to go against them because it's a big match. I feel we're gonna have. I feel this All In show is gonna kind of reminisce WrestleMania 40. And sort of 39 and 40 combined. This match, if it is Ospreay and Swerve, this is your Sammy and Kevin taking on the Usos, you know? And I think we're building up to the
5 minutes of run-ins.
Hangman. You're going to have, obviously, Death Rider shit. And the thing is, it's building, is Swerve going to help Hangman? And that is going to be the payoff. And I think it just pays off this whole Death Riders run, but pays off years of story between Swerve and Hangman as well.
They're gonna do. I totally see the same thing because I was thinking about that. It's like you're gonna do there's gonna be some sort of ref bump where the same thing WrestleMania 40 with Cody and Roman, where you're gonna have fucking Claudio running, Marina Shafir running, Willow running, like all these different
Whether you
people.
have a Danielson,
Eddie Kingston.
Yeah,
there's a few options there. Darby Allin. Right, like they're gonna have the AEW Avengers come out to stop the Death Riders, and they're booking it in a right way. Like, unfortunately, we've had to watch the Death Riders for the past months, and it's been stinking up the joint. But I guess it'll all be worthwhile, like when they finally put an end to it with this big, like, I do see that with all the different run-ins of all these people. But it does make me think, like, would you have Swerve and Ospreay versus the Bucks, and then the Bucks beat them, so then Ospreay and Swerve have some tension, and then you said, like, later, is Swerve actually going to help Hangman or be against him? And like, there's so many other things. At the end of the day, Hangman was right, and Hangman wins is definitely where we should go with this. Please, God, if they're Hangman, like, we can't say finish the story, but like Hangman's finished it before, but like, you're gonna finish it again, the proper story this time, and I think that's the best route. But it does make me question, like, would you go Swerve and Ospreay versus the Bucks? Because that on any day I would watch that match. But adding the singles match,
getting that, yeah.
You think it's the tag?
I think it's the tag. I think I'd avoid the temptation to have Swerve turn against Ospreay.
That's
because I just think you look at these three guys here. I think all three are so over in completely different ways as baby faces, and I'd work on building up some other top heels to oppose them. But I think there will be a temptation to turn Swerve. I don't really like that because they sort of did it with Danielson last year. And as much as I loved the match, it felt very kind of abrupt that, oh, we got to get Swerve heel again for this match against Danielson. Mm-hmm. And I think it would be now, if you were to make it maybe like a number one contenders match, I also think it's too soon. Let's say it's Forbidden Door to go for like Hangman versus either of these two. Like, you might want Ospreay challenging for the title in London, but it's just you're gonna have a weird crowd with that, because I think you're gonna still have a lot of Hangman fans there, as well as obviously Ospreay fans, and you don't want to drop the title from Hangman a month after winning it. So I'd avoid doing that maybe, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm leaning towards the tag match, I think.
I think it would be sweet. And you know what? Like, add stipulation to it. Those four guys are insane. And like, I really love the anarchy.
Is there a way you could do it without it being like cheesy, where if Ospreay beats Swerve, Swerve's got to like help, you know? It's like,
I know what you mean.
If I beat you, like, you don't have to like help him win, but you got to stop the Death Riders. You got to stand next to me if shit goes down. Because I like that they already set up before Double or Nothing with Hangman and Ospreay, where they're like, hey, whoever loses this will be Seth Rollins for this. We'll be your Shield in the main event.
I am fine with that match. I mean, the singles match, we've seen it before and it was brilliant, and we will one day go to it. And I don't necessarily think we need it on this like pay-per-view. It's pretty stacked already. I wonder if we get Swerve Ospreay on TV in the next few weeks,
or Swerve Ospreay in London, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking Ospreay Gabe Kidd, maybe.
Okay.
Because, but maybe that's just like kind of looking ahead. But yeah, there's definitely that. Hangman versus Shingo. Hangman versus who they even fucking have over there. Goto versus Hangman. You can't do that, I guess.
Last year they did Swerve Ospreay. They didn't do a New Japan guy. Against. I'm trying to think.
Can't see that. I can't. Yeah, I see them waiting for Wembley for Ospreay to be champion and get that big moment. That makes the most sense, obviously. So that's a whole year of Ospreay chasing for this title. So we got to keep him busy with a bunch of other stuff. But either way, if we go Swerve and Ospreay versus the Bucks, that's a pretty stacked match that I'm not.
I think I'm more, as much as I like singles matches, and especially with Ospreay and Swerve, would want to see them in a singles match. I'm more forgiving of it this year than, say, the first All In or the first Forbidden Door, where they were all just tag and multi-man matches. I think if you do have what we think we've got with the you know, obviously Mox and Hangman. I'm assuming Okada and Kenny, Mercedes, Tony, put that in there. They're 3 top singles matches where I think you can get away with doing a like dream tag match or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a stacked card regardless already with those matches being thrown around. Like, that's pretty nuts. So I'm really looking forward to, I'm loving this run. They've got the 4-hour Dynamite Fighter Fest this Wednesday. I'm kind of excited. Some of the matches we'll kind of get through, but other stuff from this week's Dynamite, the hardcore women's tag match, that was fun. Anna Jay, the queen of
they all got
3 fights.
What's with women breaking their noses this last week?
So was this one, she got injured last week, but this was like a planned spot with the fake blood and stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure this was not a real blood spot on Wednesday, but she actually hurt herself last week.
Oh, I thought she'd legit broken her nose, was what I heard.
But then Chelsea Green got her nose broken by that 619, right?
Yes.
I guess it was more of just a 6, but that looked nasty. So yeah, lots of broken faces and nose. But yeah, the women tore it up on Dynamite as per usual. I'm loving Megasis and Penelope. Like, I don't know where we go because she like didn't win the title, and like I think we got to get the women's tag titles match at All In as well. That has to happen. Because like, what are we doing? Like, what is it? What are you fighting for? What does it matter? You can't just keep losing at the women's world title matches and then just not knowing what to do.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I'm especially if we're unifying the international and continental championship, so you're losing a belt there. I don't like having more and more belts added, but I think if you want to have a company where you are treating your men and women equally, why isn't there a tag belt? There should be a tag belt and a tag division, and there are enough shows for this to be defended on. We've been having women's tag matches for a long time. They've kind of been like a kind of quiet calling card of AEW, these street fight tag matches in the women's division. And there's certainly people you can, you've been having the ongoing story, which is like in the background of Willow and Statlander if they're getting back together. So that they're people you could eventually have win the tag titles. You've got this
there's so many teams
group. You've got the Megan Bain, Penelope Ford. I'm sure there's other like Deonna Purrazzo and Taya Valkyrie who seem to have just vanished once again. Like that's a team there. You've got enough women who aren't really being used enough that you could build a division with.
No, they have so many tag teams, and like the street fight tag team match has been like, I said Anna Jay because I think she's been in quite a few of these, but I think they should do the tag titles and having the like the winners of this like tournament, if they do go that route at All In, like that should be where you crown the champions.
Now there's always a temptation to throw a ladder on a big show. Could that be a ladder match? Like I kind of want that for something else, but also that kind of does. It's make a good sense, way to get a lot of the women on the card. Like you've got. I would assume you do the men's gauntlet casino gauntlet, which they did last year. You could do that, and then some sort of multi-woman tag ladder match to crown the new titles could be a thing. I'm also wondering if you could do we've got the 4-hour Dynamite coming up soon. Whether you could throw a gauntlet next week there. Yeah, because I'd kind of like to see like them go just a hour with one of those casino gauntlet matches one day, and a 4-hour show would be the time to do it. They do need those titles. I think it would like make some of the stories just because they really don't know what to do once someone loses like challenging for a title. They just kind of like flop around, and you're signing all these people like your Mina, and like they've quietly had tag teams here. So I kind of Tekla now who like there's some stuff with that. There was that as well. Sorry, Chris Jones just correcting me, saying Harley's was a blood capsule, but then Anna Jay got the same injury for real. Strange how they messed up that finish is a new one to me. A lot of injury. That's where my confusion was. Jeez, that's crazy. Yeah. Sorry, Tekla, is that how you pronounce it? I was reading it Thekla. Tekla or Thekla. They kept saying Tekla, and I was like, Thekla? Yeah. Fucker in it's silent trash. H, I think. Yeah. Tekla, the Toxic Spider. I'm not super familiar with her. Maybe seen some of her stuff once in a while with the Stardom thing. They told us that she's from there, and
I'm not super familiar. A friend of mine was saying that we actually have maybe talked about her briefly, but I'm interested. She had a cool
interfered, look. Right? There was like a 4-way. Was it it was the match at what show was it? Where the winner gets to choose a title of their choice, and the winner ended up going on to face Mercedes. It was the match where Athena got her first pinfall, and Tekla kind of interfered in that. I remember, but that's the only time I've seen her.
So she took out Jamie. I imagine we go to that match pretty quickly, if not the all-in match. I guess would be this. Putting a new person in there is kind of shitty for some people who've been around. But again, that tag title, big multi-woman match could help fix that by letting people also be on the show. But I liked the upside down spider move she does. I'm assuming that's why she's called the spider, because she does that really quickly. Like
I do feel that sometimes AEW love this lights off, lights on thing. Yeah. And I always think back to when not Dark Order, Butcher and the Blade debuted. And I think there is something about you can't do this spot with an unknown. Yeah, they did this with Satnam Singh, remember? To close the Dynamite. And you're like, who is that? I thought you could have done the lights off, but then maybe had a bit of a video package kind of just showing a few highlights, but do it spooky or whatever. And then it can be a distraction. And in that way, you're kind of teaching us as an audience who Tekla is. And then you get the attack, maybe, because there is always this, whenever you do this angle, people are like, oh, who's coming back? Who? And it kind of does a disservice to the person they're trying to debut, I think.
It was weird because the lights come back on and the camera's on the Titantron and the Titantron turns on and it says who it is, but no one sees the attack because they're all reading the Titantron. And then she's just standing there and Jamie's taken out. It was like, oh. Okay, so a little weird, but I think hopefully she can prove that she's good and can hang with Jamie.
Her spider looked pretty good, you know.
Exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, it was.
Like actually looked spider-like.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like that would be a fun match. Hopefully she can hang with Jamie. Jamie is like, I was kind of picturing her being in a big prominent match for All In, and I guess this will be the one. But we'll see.
This is one you could set up as a #1 contenders for Forbidden Door, because that is Jamie wanting to win to go home to the UK and challenge for the title. Maybe
it would be a big spot for Jamie in the O2. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. What else was on Dynamite? Samoa Joe and the Ops.
Yeah, got to talk about the frat house here, right?
One of my newest favorite teams in AEW. I've watched some of them. I feel like I've seen them, but their gimmick is
we've seen all these guys, but like just forgotten about all of them.
So so these guys' gimmick is they shows clips of them the night before partying it up, and win, lose, they booze is their gimmick. And they're a bunch of guys who are definitely not in college or university, but are part of the frat house. We got 2 Dimes, Cole Carter.
2 Dimes, yeah.
If you would have asked me what's that guy up to? He left one family and found another. In the
2 Dimes house. Stood next to 10 Dimes because the 10. Preston Vance.
That's right. The 2 10s right there. All you need is Sean Spears in this group.
3rd faction now? 4th?
3rd faction, not wearing a lucha mask. But yeah, we got Cole Carter. Sorry, what's his name now?
Preston Vance.
Preston Vance. Griff Garrison. Who the fuck is Griff Garrison? And then we got Jack Jameson. Oh my God. He was killing me. What was he talking about? Talking about everyone in this city, all the men are weak and all the women are fat and ugly. Dying laughing. But then their gimmick is they have pledges. So you're trying to, it's like when dudes are trying to join frats, they make you do awful shit. And they make these guys, like, they feed them as jobber cops, as putties to like the wrestlers. That's a smart jobber faction gimmick, in my opinion. So I'm giving them all the credit. The frat house, I am in. I need to have some Red Solo Cup parties with these guys because they had me howling. And Samoa Joe's face was the cherry on top. Oh, sorry. What's his name? All the ops. Yeah, Shibata's like, man.
Joe has this great, like, he's almost looking like, I don't mind this. He's like smiling a little, nodding. He's like,
have a drink with
I'm going to kill you all, but okay, I'm entertained.
I enjoyed this way more than I thought I was.
So obviously, we don't always keep up with Collision or certainly not Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
But like, let's get this clear. So so Preston Vance was 10. He was in the Dark Order. He then took his mask off and was a bad guy. Eventually joined LFI, who, let me get this straight, they were with the Don Callis family, and then Don Callis sold their contracts to Jake the Snake Roberts, and Preston was like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna go hang out with kids in a frat
college
house."
kids.
Is that what happened? Just got to get the full history of Preston Vance correct here.
Well, Cole Carter clearly is in a witness protection program and has left the mafia and now going by an alias, a completely different family. Griff Garrison, I mean, he was what? He was part of. He wasn't with Jungle Boy,
he
right?
Was the Varsity group with Brian.
Okay,
Pillman.
so he was Varsity. He was kind of Dark Order, and then he was kind of where else? What was he doing before this?
He wasn't Dark Order, no.
No,
he was just the act with Pillman and Julia Hart, I think, and then just disappeared to ROH.
Yeah. And then I'm not super familiar with Jack Jameson, but
he was with the Iron Savages as their mouthpiece for a bit. You know, the Bear Country, and then there was the domestic accusations against one of them who got fired, and then actually the other, I think it's Bear Bronson, I think was released or contract not renewed this week. He seeed fun. Like I haven't seen him really wrestle, but I thought on mic he was pretty entertaining. I think this is very much a Chase U kind of thing, but you're going to have so much more leeway with stuff you can get away with in AEW, where I think it's going to be a lot funnier. Whereas, you know, we like Chase U, but there's only so far they can push jokes, and it is very sanitized. Whereas here, I think you can be a little filthier with this frat group, and I'd look forward to seeing different vignettes ran for these guys. I don't need to see them win championships. Just come out, be obnoxious, and get murdered. It's fun.
We need pin eaters. We need like mid-card. We need the Mean Street Posse. You know what I mean? That's what these guys are. It's Chase U, Mean Street Posse mixed kind of together. And these guys, some of them are definitely not old enough to be in a fraternity, but it's like old school. It's like any of these
Hollywood,
movies. It's like it's
Friday Night Lights.
Fine.
It's all that. Yeah.
I think these guys could really get popular if they continue to be these, like the B team. You know, like they're funny.
They can have an Outrunners kind of act, right? You could eventually build them up for a trios tag and have a competitive match on one show if these guys get over enough.
I love them so much that when after I watched them get murdered, I went on AEW socials, and like these guys are all over socials posting funny stuff. More of them going to the bar, them kicking out their pledges. So what happens is with the pledges, once you don't beat the wrestler they throw you to the wolves at, they kick you out of the frat house. So the pledges that were the pledges on Wednesday were actually the jobbers in a match on Collision for someone else. I recognize the guy's hair because it was like red or something. But every town they go to, they're going to get like the local talent to be their pledges. And I think that's a really smart like way to, again, we need mid-card gimmicks and characters. And so far, first impression of these guys for me, I've seen them online and stuff. I think I've seen them wrestle here, there, but this was my first time getting the full package on Dynamite, and thumbs up from me. I want to be a pledge. Let's go. I'm too old, but let's go.
You liked their full package. Gotta love
I love their full package. Absolutely. Especially Jack Jameson.
What do you see? Do you see the trios titles being defended at All In, and who do you see as a potential act?
Who are the champs? The Ops?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Don Callis family, which I think would be a weak use of some of the guys in that group. But
right, what, Takeshita Alexander and Fletcher?
Yeah, I would way prefer Takeshita.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
That might be
the only other thing I was thinking is if you're doing Swerve versus Ospreay rather than the tag, could you have Jack Perry return and do Bucks and Perry against them? Like, you've got to. It's like getting the loose ends together, right? If the Bucks aren't facing Swerve and Hangman, who are the Bucks facing?
Yeah. I'm
Sorry,
not sure.
Swerve and Ospreay rather.
Yeah. I don't know. Same thing. What are we doing with Ricochet? There's the gauntlet, right? There's that gauntlet thing that there's a few different options you could go with that.
Ricochet on the show teasing having his own stable and kind of teasing Crew being those two guys. So Leo Rush and Action Andretti. So maybe that's the trios match if you want Ricochet on the show. I don't know. There's different ways you could go. None of them sound overly appealing. Like the trios division isn't particularly my favorite, and I like all these guys in the Ops, but I can't necessarily say I'm excited about watching Ops matches either.
Yeah, I agree. I think there maybe an act that would get over when people realize, oh, look, it's Samoa Joe. Oh, look, it's Shibata. Oh, look, it's Hub. Yeah. It's like, okay, we like all three of these guys. So far, the reactions have been fine for them.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily the most exciting for me, but yeah, I do see the Crew joining Ricochet. He did say the words Crew. I think he was kind of signaling that it would make the most sense. They're two young high flyers who are heels.
Obnoxious, yeah.
Yeah, and they're pretty good too. So I don't mind that. I think they could fly with him pretty well. Other stuff that I liked was Kyle Fletcher and Adam Cole. That powerbomb spot was nasty as fuck, though. I hope Adam Cole is okay. It was brutal there.
Apron bomb to the head. It was nasty.
I don't know.
And reports are that there was like heat backstage with Kyle Fletcher.
But like I watched it. Like I don't know. Like you see accidents happen with everybody, and like Adam Cole goes to, back bump on the apron, but he misses. So like I don't know. Like even before this though, like we've said it. We've been such Adam Cole fans, especially over the years. NXT, this and that, and or ROH before that, and everything. Just something. This TNT title run hasn't been the fixture. You gave him the title as a band-aid, and then just still like isn't connecting. They come out as the Paragon. I hate that name. I hate the T-shirts they wear. Everything that was good about Undisputed Era has been stripped away, and I don't know how we're ever going to get back. Again, huge fan of Adam Cole, but you're in there with someone who looks like Kyle Fletcher, who looks like he would eat you for breakfast, and then he apron bombs you, and like there's reports he's hurt. It's like, fuck, man. I'm not saying Adam Cole doesn't look like he's in the same league, like fighting wise. You were to put these two in an octagon, they wouldn't pound for pound be able to fight each other, just of how like Adam Cole doesn't necessarily look like a lot of these other jacked, scary looking wrestlers. And I just feel like ever since this injury, it's been taking a while to get him back into like this character that we've known. He's good. He's great. He's a great talker. He's an even better wrestler, but something isn't working. And just going back to, okay, let's pair them with Undisputed, but then change the name and they wear these ugly blue T-shirts. I don't know. It's just everything about it. I want nothing to do with it.
I feel so much in wrestling is perception, right? Like I feel like, let's say, I'm going to give an example because I know they're two of your least favorites. Let's say Baron Corbin and Nia Jax were booked in a match and they both it was
terrible.
It was exactly. That's the point I'm getting at. But let's just say that was booked and it turned out to be the greatest match of all time. You would still hate it because you have decided you don't like them. They've had years to try and convince you to like them and they haven't done it. So you write them off at that point. And I think that's what I mean by perception. I think Adam Cole, so many people liked him. He came back from the injury, was entered back in that awful feud with MJF that now didn't make any sense because Cole's the heel, MJF was the babyface, but then he comes back and it's the other way round. They're trying to retcon it. Fans are rejecting it. The match isn't good. And then you could see he'd lost his confidence and just something wasn't there. Like his injury sounded terrible. And, he's talking about, waking up in the night screaming because of these concussions and shit like that. Like it must have knocked his confidence and that aura just disappeared. And then we're looking and he's got the weird Simpsons spray tan and he doesn't look as jacked or whatever as other people. And his perception just drops. This isn't Adam Cole walking into a sold out Barclays Center with everyone going Adam Cole baby and everyone thinking he's the coolest guy. It's so hard for him to get that back now because as wrestling fans, I feel we've moved on and we've found the other people that we're interested in. And then it's like, oh yeah, Adam Cole. And trying to give him a TNT title run is trying to get some of that aura back. But I kind of feel the genie's out of the bottle at this point. And it's sad to say. And I don't see him really progressing much above this level anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we go back with it. Do we like back to the lab and like, you know, put him on a cooler right now and rethink of what we're doing, come up with actual plans or stories, because just putting them back together and calling him this new name and really trying is not working, 100% not working, to the point where in this match, I was like, man, just give this title to Fletcher.
Yeah.
In fact, this title is below Fletcher. In fact, you need someone to take the title from Hangman in 6 months after All In. Fletcher could be your guy in that case, because then
Ospreay, at least for a feud, right? Like,
because then look, if you have Fletcher going into Wembley as champion, Ospreay taking it from him, getting it before Ospreay would be crazy. But that's an interesting kind of story there, kind of going off topic. But I don't know if you rematch the Fletcher match, because it was interrupted by Alexander and it was like a DQ and stuff. But then they did have the segment where they're beefing again. I would run this back and I would have Fletcher take this title from him.
Yeah.
I would have Fletcher run this, because Fletcher is someone who every time he's improved. Like, that's the issue I think with Adam Cole, is you're not evolving. Whereas someone like Fletcher, you look like a picture from 2 years ago or last year. He's a completely different person. Whereas Adam Cole looks just, I don't know, like something's not clicking. And we love Adam Cole. We will till the day we die. We always love them. But right now, something is just not working with it. And I wonder if they just are better by taking a step back, and instead of just the Band-Aid was the TNT title, and then the guy went MIA until like this week, and then supposedly gets hurt. But I don't think he actually got hurt. But like, I don't know what it is, but something's got to be fixed and changed, and maybe just teaming him with Roddy and Kyle just isn't the best option as we thought. But
what is better for any of them? I kind of feel this is the level now. Just mid-card, they'll go out and they'll put on a really good buffer match between Anarchy and in the arena and the main event, and you'll never think of the match ever again. I kind of feel that's maybe those guys' level, and it's sad to say, but they've been in the business a long time now, and I think just we've all seen their matches. We know what their matches look like at this point, and I think we gravitate, especially in AEW, to some really fresh stuff and how is wrestling moving forward. It is a shame when we've been like such fans of them in the past, but it's not the same as it used to be.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I like the match with Adam Cole and Fletcher, but again, like Fletcher right now just feels like he's coming up so quickly that he could be a future world champion in this company. Another match. This was a match to win. If you win, you get added to the 4-way match for Kenny's title on next Wednesday at Fyter Fest. And Josh Alexander had a rematch with Brody King. And these two went at it. They were killing each other. I really loved this match. What I loved even more was the fight. Is it still fight, Triller? Whatever it is, the picture-in-picture.
For now,
right before, yeah, for now. I don't know what to call it, but yeah, still that. Before they went to picture-in-picture, Don Callis obviously on commentary because it's Josh's match, and him and Taz are always going at it. And Don beating up, living up the fact, Josh Alexander, best Canadian wrestler ever, obviously poking fun. And the commentators, Taz and Tony, are like, "Oh, what about Kenny Omega and Bret Hart?" No, they couldn't lace Josh's boots. Classic heel shit. But when we went to picture-in-picture, Don is like, "Hey, like, what about Gene Knitsky, Whipper Billy Watson?" And Don's like, "Nah, fuck them, they suck, whatever, all this shit." And like they're ribbing each other back and forth, and I was dying laughing. But then he references Alan Coog, who is Bad News Alan, right?
Right.
Who we've heard Don talk about like all the stuff with Chris Jericho in the past. And he's like, who's that guy? And he's like, yeah. And then like we come back and you could tell Taz was corrected. And Taz is like, hey, it's come to my attention that actually he's from New York, but he lived in Canada. So like I was wrong. And Don again is like, I don't know who the fuck you're talking about. And you just ribbing him. And I had to I watched it twice. It was so fucking funny. I might be on my own, but Don Callis fucking just gets wrestling.
It's funny because sometimes you go to picture-in-picture and they don't let up at all. Like the wrestling, the action's still great. Most of the time, it's AEW. Definitely, the action is more interesting in the break than in WWE. But you can still kind of tell. Okay, it's a lot of brawling on the outside, selling an injury for a little bit, that kind of thing. So that's when I often get up and if I'm cooking or whatever, do some stuff.
Of course.
But the commentary is great. So I like just listening during the commercial breaks, over watching it. Because
hilarious.
Taz, Tony, Excalibur just going off on each other. And in this case, Don as well. It's so funny. Although on WWE this week, you get Wade Barrett in commercial break going, oh, look at this shit behind us. Like, as everyone's going yeeting away or whatever. So I enjoy, and Booker just constantly forgetting he's still on air during NXT.
Yes, that does happen.
Most of the time during the main broadcast as well, to be honest. But yeah, I definitely enjoy the picture-in-picture. And if, there's talks of Triller potentially going out of business or whatever, I hope whatever it lands on for us, we still get this AEW Plus thing, because I get so much fun out of these commercial breaks.
That is a thing. And with the Fight and Triller, like maybe we get pay-per-views on Prime full-time or on HBO Max or Crave, or like there might be some things coming in the future that AEW is making moves with streaming. And maybe stuff on HBO Max is working out for them. I don't know, but like the future is streaming. You're seeing sports and shows all moving to streaming anyways. Like who knows where that kind of lands up, but I would miss the PMP from Fight. I do enjoy it because that was pretty funny. However, Brody King beat Josh. And that move is fucked. The Gonzo bomb. That's the best move in the fucking a power bomb. I used to give this to my guy in the old video games. Like the power bomb into the dropout sit out pile driver. Insane. Brody King is added to the match with Kenny. That match is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I think Alexander and Brody King have had a couple of really good matches recently. Like they've got great chemistry, and it's Brody King obviously like a big heavy hitter, but Josh Alexander's no slouch of that as well. And I thought this was pretty entertaining. So the 4-way now we've got after last night's Collision is Kenny Omega versus Brody King, Claudio Castagnoli, and Mascara Dorada. For the
this match is going to be crazy.
Championship. That sounds great.
This is going to be absolutely nuts. I watched Mascara Dorado versus Hechicero on Collision, and the finish is this like avalanche Poisonrana. So I got to shout that out, where it was into some crazy shit. So yeah, this match is going to absolutely fuck. And obviously Kenny is going to retain, but this should be a crazy thing. Like this is a 4-hour Dynamite, I guess, mixed with Collision. Is that what this is, or just a Fighter Fest 4-hour show?
I think it's just a 4-hour Fighter Fest, right. And then we have another one coming up later in the year, like Summer Sizzler or something like that. Yeah, Summer Blockbuster.
Right. Yeah, that was pretty great. I'm trying to think of other stuff from Dynamite.
Well, we had the Tony and Mercedes segment to close the show.
Yeah, really awesome promo. Again, AEW known for not being the more promo company, but I thought this week the two main promo segments were knockout park. Like the stuff from Ospreay, Swerve, and Hangman were awesome, but then Tony and Mercedes I think I liked even more because Tony was cooking her. She was like, oh yeah, you're walking around with all those belts, well this is the only title that matters because it's the only title I need. Then of course the jokes, the Tony Tunnel, the Money Train, and what did Tony say? These bitches are crazy. Holy shit, these bitches are crazy. And Tony ends it with, you say you're the greatest of all time, but I happen to be timeless. I thought that was bars. I thought that was fire. I'm really excited for this match. This is the biggest women's match, in my opinion, in quite a long time.
It was, I enjoyed this. I've seen kind of mixed opinions on this one.
Really?
I think, yeah, I think mainly the dancing at the end, the
smelling, smell her a little.
Yeah, smelt her a little, and then the spontaneous dance off to end it. I liked it. I think this is the right match to book. We were talking about the different options, whether you go Athena and Mercedes or whatever. I think this makes the most sense. There's still a bit of time, so I'm wondering what else they have left, because I think Tony is great in this gimmick. And we've seen her be able to, it's the kind of Orange Cassidy thing, right? Where it's a funny gimmick, but can you step up and be serious and have that serious promo? And we've seen it with her as well. Mercedes is still kind of hit and miss. I think she's definitely feels more comfortable in her skin again, but I do find her still very scripted when she's talking. And which is interesting because Tony has all the ridiculous lines, which you would think are scripted, but she makes them sound like a good stand-up comedian. She makes it sound so spontaneous and like the first time she said these things. Mercedes, I still get the very much I'm reading my lines kind of vibe from her. And I thought this one worked, but I wonder what they have to cover 6 weeks of TV to get to it. The match regardless is going to be great, but will I be compelled on the whole journey? I'm not entirely sure yet.
I'm wondering, like, there's so much time. I wonder if we get some more creative stuff, like the Tony videos, like the movies, essentially like a movie about Mercedes.
Tony doing a movie about Mercedes' career or something, you know, that kind of thing.
Or vice versa. Like Mercedes poking her and making fun of her, like, oh yeah, you live that lifestyle, but like I'm, you know, the boss, et cetera, et cetera. But this week is Tony and Mina versus Julia Hart and Sky Blue with Mercedes on commentary. So maybe we get like a big beat down. I think Mercedes heals it up a little bit in this feud, right? Like, I think that would be something a bit to really heat it up. But looking forward to that. Again, like the two main title matches for All In, Hangman and Moxley, and Tony and Mercedes. Those are pretty solid.
I think one of the best things they've done this year, and that this is why I really liked Dynamite this week, is this Dynamite felt like, you know, the night after the Royal Rumble, and you know who your WrestleMania main eventers are going to be, and they cut that big promo, and it makes it feel like a big thing. I think this was by far the best Owen Cup tournament they've done.
Yeah.
Is this the third or the fourth one? I think, but
maybe.
It was only, I think third, maybe. It was only last year that they introduced the winner goes on to the main event of All In. But then I'm just looking at the bracket now. You had Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, Bryan Danielson, Shingo Takagi, Rey Fenix, Jay White, Jeff Jarrett, and I can't really remember who the wild card was there. But you look at that, it's, well, Danielson's winning this. Like, there's no way Jeff Jarrett was winning. There's no way Jay White was going to headline Wembley. You knew going into the tournament who was going to win it. And I think that does take away a little bit of the prestige of what the tournament is. Whereas this year, you look at it and you had, you had Hangman and Ospreay to start with, who I think people could see either winning. You had Takeshita, you had Kyle Fletcher as well, and Speedball as the wild card. So I think right away you saw it's probably Hangman and Ospreay. But, you know, we were going into Double or Nothing going, it could go either way. It made it feel so much more prestigious. And then main eventing the show with the Owen Cup final, kind of bookending the show with your women's and your men's, and then mirroring that on this Dynamite, it made it feel like the biggest thing. The Owen is the biggest thing you could win because it guarantees you the main event of All In. And that first All In show we went to, we loved. We had a great time. We went to London for it. But we were kind of bummed because they weren't treating it like it was the biggest show in the world. And they should have been. And there were just great matches, but a lot of six-mans, a lot of let's set up for the smaller show in Chicago the next week. And I think this year they know, like, All In is the biggest show. These are your two biggest matches. And they dedicated a lot of time to make you feel that way. And I think next time they announce it's the Owen Cup tournament, we should be excited for it. And they should put even more top names in the mix.
Yeah, no, it definitely felt like it was the best one this year with all the different matchups, having the right pieces and the right characters. And you didn't know who was going to win. Even Ospreay and Hangman didn't know who was going to win, apparently. Yeah. Allegedly.
No, you win.
No, you win.
You win.
No, I'll get it next year. Don't worry.
I respect you, but I don't like you.
No, let me tell you something.
Brother. No, let me tell you something. You're going to win this one, brother.
Yeah, backstage, Hangman and Ospreay doing Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan from WCW until they figured out a winner. Yeah, that's not going to work for me, brother. You're winning. It's basically Ospreay, Hogan, Will Hogan being like, Hangman, you have to win. And then on Dynamite, he's like, you have to take that belt. It's like, all right, I will. Other stuff. So like, I'm going to gloss over some stuff from Collision. I'm not sure if you checked it out, but I had it on today.
I haven't had a chance, no.
I had some coffee and I put it on. Ospreay Swerve did beef backstage, which again, like they could set up a singles match for TV and then the Bucks do get involved and we still go to that. I know Swerve pinned the Bucks in Anarchy. So it's like, kind of over, but you could easily go to that big. I still think Ospreay and Swerve versus Bucks is a big match, but selfishly, maybe I want that to be the one-on-one for All In, which would just be like a crazy one more time encounter. Other than that, I don't know who you would have Ospreay to go face, and Swerve. What would he be doing either? So you're going to get either of those matches, and I'm pretty psyched about that. Don Callis interrupted a Daniel Garcia interview and basically said, "Yo, what the fuck are you doing? Join the Don Callis family, and I'll make you a success." And who's Don Callis's buddy, his manager, Daddy Magic?
Oh, Daniel Garcia's manager. Yeah, Daddy Magic.
Yeah. Daniel Garcia, Daddy Magic interferes, and he's like, "You get out of here. Leave him alone. Get the fuck out of here." And Don says, "You know, when your Lamborghini breaks down, who do you take it to? Do you take it to a mechanic who's worked on Lamborghinis before, or you take it some guy who works on beaters?" And not like, he basically calls Daddy Magic a nobody and says, "If you worked for me, I could make you success." So it does make me think like that's another thing Garcia would be joining, but he's another start-stop that they've really hurt with his push and evolution of just like, he's not maybe connecting the way we thought he would be. And obviously people are like, "Oh, you should have not signed and went to NXT and this and that and this and that." I think we could there's still so much time to turn Daniel Garcia around. And I don't know if necessarily this is it, but it's a step.
I don't think he's in the work. Like, to be honest, I think he's at the spot he should be at. I don't see Garcia as a main event act. I think he's an incredible,
at least right
wrestler.
now.
I think he's an incredible wrestler. And I think we've seen him be a good promo in the past as well. I do see him being as TNT title level, and that's fine. You need guys in that level, and joining the Callis family, I think you've already got your main three in that group, and then you've got 16 other people behind him. Like, I
learned that Trent and what these guys were in it.
Rocky
I'm like,
Romero
what?
And Trent
Rocky Romero's on TV. What?
Yeah,
bless him, but what?
Roosh might still be part of it. Who knows? But yeah, I'd rather, like, if you want to progress Garcia, I don't think joining another stable is the way to do it. I think you kind of got to throw him out there on his own. He's somewhat been on his own as a babyface. He had a nice feud with Christian, didn't do a whole lot with the TNT title, but was having good matches on Collision. I think turn him heel against Nigel and have that as a Forbidden Door match. That's the way I'd like to go, and have him standing on his own as a heel. Do the beatdown on Menard. You can have that as a TV match to build up to Forbidden Door, but let's see how he works as a heel completely on his own, because we've never really seen that in AEW.
We got to get Daniel versus some of the members of Don Callis, like Josh, Takeshita, Fletcher, etc. But I don't know necessarily if he is going to join them. But they need to do something a bit different, but I'm not quite sure. I think your idea earlier before the stuff with FTR and Stoke, like him and FTR maybe would have been a good way to help build him up, because they're kind of like floating around and farting around with this stuff, but they're
in different divisions. They're not, that's the thing with the Callis family. It's a lot of singles wrestlers who are essentially going for the same thing, whereas that would work more as a pairing, I think.
Yeah. I think for Forbidden Door, it should be Nigel and Zach Sabre Jr. That should be the big
Nigel and Zach.
O2. Yeah. Like, while we can do it, you think you would do that?
Yeah.
If we could.
Yeah.
If we can.
Could do that.
Other stuff. FTR, they're promoting a match. They have a match, I should say, next week. It's Atlantis Jr. and Templario versus FTR. And I don't know, but I'm fucking sold. I like the promo segment that they did on Collision, and they're setting up a match, and FTR versus some Lucha guys is exactly what I want to see. So I'm in with this.
Sounds
next
good.
week's shows. Yeah, it's looking good. Collision had some fun stuff, but it wasn't necessarily like anything must watch really, but it was forwarding some stories. And as it stands right now, as we're recording, next Wednesday, Fyter Fest, the tag match between Tony, Mina, and Julia and Sky, the four-way, Kenny, Brody, Mascara, and Claudio, FTR versus Atlantis and Templario, and John Moxley versus Mark Briscoe in a one-on-one match, which Mark Briscoe is fucking killing it. So I'm excited to see that. I wonder if we're gonna have
there's
blood
gonna
in
be
this
blood
match.
in that. Both are gonna be bleeding.
No, not a drop.
That.
Make it a first blood match. You lose if you bleed.
Make it a no bumps match, like
no bump match.
Yeah,
just bleeding in this match is what we're gonna see. But
I'm got
interested.
LFI versus Commander Kevin Knight and Speedball, which could be a fun 6-man on that as well. With
shit,
our favorite Beast Mortos in there with.
He killed it on Collision. He has a new mask. He had like a white one with these like braids and shit. Like he looks sick. He's got to be one of the most handsome men under a mask, but he still looks scary as fuck with this mask. Yeah, this is where I was really torn as a wrestling fan. Like I said, you only have so many hours in your week to watch wrestling, and here I was listening to JC Mateo talking and beating up R-Truth. And then I turn the channel and I go, let me check out what was on Collision. And I'm seeing the Beast Mortis come out. I'm like, this is what I want to watch. Whatever this guy comes out, I'm like, yeah, whatever this guy is, I'm watching that. So maybe he'll be at All In too. Put him in the gauntlet.
Sure.
Match. I don't care.
Absolutely.
Book it. So there you go. That was our week of AEW Dynamite. I'm really enjoying some of the stuff they're doing. Looking forward to this Fyter Fest. Looking forward to All In. Obviously, again, if you're in the Dallas area or you are making the trip, please reach out to us. We want to do a bit of a meetup with some people. Eventually, I know it's weeks away, but I saw WrestleTix had they passed the 15,000 ticket mark. Let's hope for 20K inside a 40K stadium.
I think it'll be over 20 by the time.
Think it'll be over 20?
I do, yeah. I think 25? I think they're building up really well, and I think there are going to be more people like us who are like, actually, that does seem like a show I want to go to. So yeah, I could see 20 to 25. I think it'll look good on TV. I don't think it will look like a half empty stadium.
And we didn't they've been holding off on it, but Okada, Kenny Omega, you think that's a lock-in for All In?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right.
It'll be set up after next week's 4-way, I imagine.
True. Yeah. How many weeks is that? That's like over a month, right? If it's July 12th, that's
6 weeks left, I think.
June 1st now. Pay your rent, people. So yeah, 6 weeks. Yeah, we're gonna have to do best match ever, Okada Omega, in a few weeks leading up to this. God. I hope you're ready.
Sure, I'll book some time off work.
You're gonna need a whole day to watch. Yeah. What is there? 4 matches?
4. It's just it'll be about 4 hours worth of watching. Thank you for I'm looking forward to that G1 match, time. No, they're all great. It'll be good to look at.
Yes. When they announce that match, we will announce best match ever, Omega Okada. We've been putting off on this podcast for quite a while though, but it would make the most sense.
I think it's a good time though to do it, because I think when we launched the podcast, those matches were so fresh, and I think so much time has gone now and we've seen so many great matches since then, where it'll be good to reflect. It's 6-7 years since then. There's people like, oh, they're older now. Look at their ruined Okada and all this stuff, but if they announce this, I want to go to this. This is a draw for me. I'm a huge Kenny fan. I love Okada. Those matches is what the first one is really what kicked me back into my wrestling. Like, I was still watching wrestling. Don't get me wrong. I loved it, but that reinvigorated a lot of people into what, alternative there was to WWE, and opened so many eyes to different things. So that match is special to me. And I think a lot of people, and to do it one more time, I think now's the right time. I don't think you'd ever do it after that, really. So this is the only time, and fuck it, why not? So it should be a one and done match. I think. Yeah, I don't think we need to see a new series, a new trilogy in AEW. No. I think it should just be, this is the biggest one. It's in a stadium.
Yeah. Okay, but who wins?
Kenny.
Yeah, I think so too. They better play Battle Cry. I'll tell you what, they better fucking play the right song for that show, or I'll be pissed. But either way, I'm looking forward to that. I don't know. I'm seeing people in chat. It's Chris Elliott in the chat saying it's one of those, we know it will be a very good match, but of how good those New Japan matches is, it has a lot to live up to. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if it necessarily will be able to, but I am still interested in seeing these two do it while I can, just to say I got to see them do it live, because definitely mad I missed out. I went back. I was in Japan for like that whole month of January where I went to the Jericho Kenny match. And it wasn't until they announced Dominion for like that May or March or something. And some people I had talked to already got tickets and they were like, hey, do you want to come with us to Dominion? I'm like, no, I'm flying back home. And Dominion ended up being that like hour and a half long 7-star classic where I'm like, oh, I totally could have just hung around and went to that, but I regretted it. So now I really want to see it while I can. And I hope it does live up to the hype. And that's a big draw for me. So looking forward to All In, looking forward to seeing if any people out there, again, let us know if you're heading to Texas, because we love to see you and all that stuff. But I'm very excited. A few of our friends have joined in on our quest now. Reckless Rob, John Cena. We're going to have some fun. We're going to line dance. Yeah.
Well, let's move on to some WWE news. We recorded a show on Tuesday, up next, talking about Stephanie Vaquer dropping the NXT title. And you were like, she's got to be main roster bound. I was a little hesitant because they've just called up a lot of people. But it has been confirmed. Stephanie Vaquer has been called up to Raw.
Yeah, I mean, losing the title was an indication that they've got something in the works, and she seems like one of the hottest acts going, and in at least NXT. When we saw the pay-per-view or the PLE at Tampa, like the crowd really reacted. In fact, when we watched the Raw after Mania, the match with Io, which was one of my favorite TV matches this year as well, that was just magic. You could tell people, if you knew who she was, you were like excited, but if you didn't, you look at her and you're like, "Ooh, wait, who's that?" So they got a star regardless, and they're going to push her to the moon. In fact, she's in the qualifying match for Money in the Bank. Like, right. I don't know if you should just have her win that, but like you should really push her quickly to the moon. Like they have seen a shift since bringing her into WWE of people interested, and they got to ride that wave. Like she could potentially be as popular as Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, like she's already at that level, and she's only been here for what seems like a few months.
Gonna attract a lot of that, South American demographic as well to the company.
Absolutely.
Like we see when she's on NXT, we have people in our chat room,
Chile
from Chile, going off about her. So interesting. I do think they're gonna push her pretty heavily. It's kind of come out that her, Jordynne Grace, and Ricky Saints pretty much entered the company on bigger money than usual NXT contracts, and therefore wanting to move them up pretty quickly. Ricky Saints and Jordynne Grace being heavily rumored getting called up, which, you're looking at the NXT booking the last week. Jordynne Grace didn't win the title. A lot of people going, if you're going to have Stephanie drop the title, why didn't you just drop it to Jordynne Grace? Maybe Jordynne moving to SmackDown is in the works, and similarly Ricky Saints dropping the North American title to Ethan Page. Ricky Saints potentially moving up as well.
I could see
where do you see like the three of these? I mean, Stephanie, I think we're saying push really heavily. I think an EO match would be great to see down the
Evolution main event.
But Ricky Saints, Jordynne Grace, like I could see a Jordynne Grace Tiffany Stratton feud down the line. I think there's a lot of similarities there, and that could work really well. But where do you see those two ending up, and what kind of level, what kind of feuds?
Like Jordynne Grace eventually will be WWE Women's World Champion, no doubt about it. Multiple time. In fact, now they got the Intercontinental, the US titles. Like she's gonna win all these belts for sure. Tag titles eventually too. Why not? Like she is someone, once you see her wrestle, and right now WWE has propped up the women's division so well in the last few years that she fits in, not even like a glove. She fits in right away as like a leader of the pack, really. Like she'll come in and have some awesome matches that will get so many people's attention. I think like people will become fans if they weren't already just from watching her wrestle. And I think that has shown even in NXT, the off chance you never heard of her or never seen her in TNA, they really let you know that she was from TNA, obviously signed there and working in WWE and stuff. But once you watch her have some great match, like her versus Tiffany would be amazing. That would be a star-making performance if she wasn't already. But I see big things for her on the main roster. And also Ricky Starks. I say if wrestling is the thing that gets people's attention on Jordynne Grace, I think not saying Ricky's a bad wrestler, because actually every time he wrestles is a pretty good match, but you have Ricky cut some promos, I think, in WWE. I think he's going to get people's attention. I'm not saying he's my favorite, but I do think people gravitate towards him.
I'd love him to see him join Seth's group, to be honest.
Okay.
I think Ricky is a lot more interesting as a heel. I think he carries that swagger. You know, Paul Heyman isn't a wrestler; he's the mouthpiece. So I think having a fourth guy, especially when two of the guys are very big, Ricky is something different. He has the kind of outlandish fashion as well, which fits with Seth Rollins, and I think it's a way to establish him as a big deal, rather than maybe having him come in and being just one of those mid-card guys floating around like your Aleister Blacks, Andrades, Carmelos. I think, and then eventually that can lead to something with, there's the history with Cody there, and there's history with Seth and Cody and stuff like that. I think that could really work, putting him there. And yeah, I think Jordynne Grace on SmackDown. It's like I was saying on Tuesday's show, I just worry about people being called up and not really being used. But then, and I don't really want to rag on people, but why do you have a Zelina Vega US title reign going on when you've got Jordynne Grace's of the world? You've got Stephanie Vaquer's, Roxanne Perez, still in NXT. You've got Kalani, Sol Ruka. Like, you've got all these talent where, like, again, it's shitty saying, oh, these people should lose their jobs, but there's better versions to replace these people with. You look at sport. If you hire a new player, sorry, this player might be popular, but he's not as good as this player. So sorry, you're on the bench now. We're bringing you in. And I just think you want to improve your roster. And these women are better than a lot of the people you have on the main roster.
Yeah, there's stars, I guess, that they've had, but there's so many acts and characters in WWE that I don't like, that I can't stand to watch, and I won't watch because it's the stink factor. Once you stink up the joint, I ain't sticking around to smell it, you know? Like, that's just how I am as a fan. I'm talking about the Adam Cole stuff. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's like, oh, you know what? You've been missing. You've been off, and something's just not right. You're not ripe. Maybe you're too ripe. And that's the way with some of these characters in WWE. It's like, shit or get off the pot. Like, sorry, like R-Truth, we praise him and he's had some great moments. May have shocked us because he's a bit of a like funny, beloved character over the years. But we've done everything. We've squeezed the juice out of you as much as we can. Time to move on and bring in some new thing. You said you see it in sports, you see it in movies, you see it in everything. So like, yeah. I don't know, I'm not necessarily mad, but the next crop of talent coming up are very talented people. And WWE has been doing a great job of sniping and making AEW, TNA, AAA, all these other places, the real developmental for some of these stars. Julia, Stephanie, Ricky, and Jordynne Grace all went to NXT, all for them to say, hey, look, they went through NXT and we made them stars. But like, they could have just easily been put on the main roster. I see someone in the chat saying, what was the point of them going to NXT in the first place? Like, yeah, like maybe to learn where the hard
it's just
is.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the joke, but maybe just to see, do you work in a WWE setting? Does this, it maybe to humble you a little? Like, I know when the story was, people thought Kevin Owens was going to have an attitude when he came in because he's going to have to build the ring and that sort of stuff. And then people were impressed when he wasn't. I think maybe just to just get a look. And I think you've seen with Ricky Saints in his first NXT promo where you go, yes, you fit in here. Savin Santana this week, the way he came in, I thought was very impressive, where you go, yeah, you know what you're doing. But maybe there are some people that you think are going to be a big deal and they come across and then it's, oh, this doesn't work. You don't really work here.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I see big things for all these call-ups. Like, these people didn't need to be in NXT, right? Like Ricky, you could easily go to the Cody Rhodes tie in there. I think eventually we will get to a feud or a group with them and everything. But Stephanie will be fine. Jordynne will be fine. Ricky, these people will be fine. Stephanie will be one of the biggest stars if she's not already for WWE. Like I can see that needle moving already. You know, we didn't have necessarily a lot of listeners in Chile, but since Stephanie Vaquer has been part of WWE, our listeners have gone up in Chile. So imagine what that happens to do for WWE and for like South American viewers and everything. So I all the power to her. And I would be looking at that Evolution main event as her and Io one-on-one if Io can last out that long. I really loved her match with her, an introduction to her. Again, if you didn't know who that was and you watched that Raw after Mania, you'd be like, whoa, sorry, the best Japanese women's wrestler, arguably maybe all time, versus who they're calling already like this Chilean South American superstar. Whoa, who is this? And you watch that match, you're going to want to see it again. And I want to see it again. And I see really big things. Out of all this crop, Stephanie will definitely be the one that rises because you just watch her. The presentation. The only thing is that fucking move. I hate that move. Not that move. That's the best move. Devil's Kiss, obviously the best move in all of pro wrestling. But I'm talking about that backbreaker because everybody else does a backbreaker.
Well, someone else who could be joining the women's roster in WWE, Mariah May, who has been absent since the Hollywood ending and not really mentioned on TV at all. Was noticed that she's kind of been moved from the AEW roster page, and a lot of people assuming she is Fed bound. I kind of think this is a lock. I'm pretty sure we're going to see Mariah May showing up very soon in WWE. Where do you see her ending up? Is she there to fill a bit of a void in NXT, or is she someone that you would put right on the main roster as well?
Yeah, I mean, you could put her in NXT for a cup of coffee, just like we did with those aforementioned people, because she doesn't need that. Like you put her on TV, I think she would shine right away. It makes a lot of sense. I think in AEW, like she came in and had this feud created for her, right? It was part of the deal. It was the talks is we created this whole storyline with you and Tony and everything, and then give her the title, promise her the title. She gets a big moment and all this and that. And then has the feud with Tony that continues and has, what some are saying is match of the year still standing, loses and goes out while on top. And it's funny because people are like going back, and if you watch the feud with Tony was telling us this the whole time in that feud. If you remember the sit down interviews, if you watch that now, it is very funny to see. If I can quote something for it, she goes, after I beat you, you're gonna be fine. Your career is gonna go on, but your career is gonna be full of mediocrity. Your career, you might be more famous and everything, but you'll never have a big as match or a big as a moment as you did with me right here. Isn't that fucking crazy? Mm-hmm. And then the video after the match where they're all bloody, Tony's backstage with Luther. She says, rest in peace, Mariah May. Take care wherever you farewell. See you later. See you down the road. I won't be seeing you here, but basically saying you're gone. Mm. So she was telling us a little bit beforehand, and I don't know. I think she's really good. There was some really great stuff from Mariah May, but I can't sit here and be like, oh, whoa, she was the game changer, because there was a lot of not great stuff too from Mariah through the year. She would have, like, again, maybe one of the best matches this year, that Hollywood ending. But then she'd have some title defenses on TV that I thought were just brutal. So she was a bit of hit and miss for me. But
it was really one feud for me, like one feud that really clicked. I thought all of the Tony matches were great. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the last one was one of my favorite matches of the year for sure.
Yeah.
The other matches, I think there's part of it where she was holding this to eventually drop to Tony. So you're going into a match with a cold opponent that they're trying to heat up, which they do so much in the women's division. Oh, let's try and heat up Deonna this week or whoever. And then you move on. There's no real drama, and there wasn't really much chemistry with some of those people. She's a great act though. Like, she can talk. She looks incredible. I think she'll fit into WWE, and given the right stories and opponents, could thrive.
I think so too.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with her. Whether you've just called up all these women, is it overload having her on the main roster right away? Could she just be a top heel for 6 months or whatever in NXT? Maybe that would make more sense.
I think putting her in NXT, I think maybe like JC Jane would be a great transitional champion for her to take that belt pretty quickly in NXT. And then when the time is right, you could easily, she could lead the crop there. NXT's got a lot of people in the wings.
You want her as a heel though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But at first, I don't know. Yeah. I really love the stuff with Tony. Don't get me wrong, but I'm interested to see what she does in WWE, because I I did like her as a character. She's got it down pat. So she does make more sense as a heel. But I think that's a pretty big one for AEW. At the same time, like AEW's been working on, there's so many prospects there that have been waiting for their time. And it's funny because Mariah comes in and gets the belt way before like your Chris Statlanders or your Willows and stuff. But I think their time will come. But AEW will be fine without her. But I don't know what else she would have done anyways. She leave while you're hot, you know?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I think she's played it perfectly, to be honest.
Yeah. She's really like, she'll go down as WWE champion, I'm sure, down the future, but she'll always have that match. She could just coast. She could go surfing with Nakamura. She could do whatever she wants, but she'll always have that match with Toni Storm.
Anything from WWE this week that took your attention? We talked about Raw on Tuesday's show, but SmackDown, we had a few more qualifiers. We had the Cena, Logan Paul, Cody, Jey Uso segment at the end, but I can't say I'm particularly excited about this Money in the Bank build, and especially this main event tag that's going on.
I'm sure Money in the Bank, the matches, especially the ladder match, it doesn't look that necessarily that stacked to me, but maybe you add CM Punk to that. They have announced AJ Styles versus CM Punk versus Americano Grande. Like CM Punk and AJ Styles, would that not just be a huge pay-per-view match? And instead we're throwing it into this. Isn't that weird?
Well, they're doing these 3 ways, aren't they? To build. It's you can get to the singles down the line, but
I would definitely go towards that with all the history there, Ring of Honor and stuff. But I would imagine CM Punk is added to that match. I imagine CM Punk wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. In fact, what better way to screw up John Cena's 17th title reign than to have CM Punk be the one to maybe cash in like a moment or a place, like kind of like maybe like RVD did, but like Cena, you want your last time to be, you want your last time to be in Boston? Nah, it's gonna be in Chicago or I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that, but I think Seth Rollins winning this, and then on the Raw, you've got the Raw after Money in the Bank, Gunther versus Jey Uso. Oh. I think Seth cashes in right away.
Right.
There's also been the reports coming out this week of Triple H not being a fan of the Money in the Bank gimmick, and then people pointing out, oh yeah, in his whole career, he was never in a Money in the Bank match. He never held the Money in the Bank, and no one ever cashed in the Money in the Bank on him. So, like, they often try to get rid of one of these briefcases pretty early and have the other one be like, in this case, I imagine I'd pick Naomi to win the women's and actually have that for a while. But I see Seth cashing in, whether he does it to turn it into a 3-way like he did at WrestleMania 31, or just whoever wins it gets beaten up and he pins them right away. But I think you need to get this belt on Seth, and I do it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm not feeling the Jey Uso stuff. I'm not feeling anything with Logan Paul, John Cena, even Cody Rhodes. I thought the line about polishing his Peacemaker was pretty funny, but Logan Paul had a good line. What did he say? I could walk on water and all of you would just ask me why I can't swim, which I thought was funny. But I can't say I'm into the Cena run at all. I've kind of said off the top, it's not interesting me. I'm not looking forward to. I'm going to watch Money in the Bank, sure, but can't say they're necessarily. I thought post Mania, my hope was that the Seth Rollins stuff, because I was really hoping Seth would turn and this and that, and as much as like they put Braun and now Jonah with him, I don't know. It's just something about it is not the way
Jonah.
It's what's his name?
Bronson Reed.
Sorry. I just feel like it's not necessarily clicking the way. It still feels like the WWE that I didn't like a few years ago to me. It still feels like the matches, we're going to commercial break. Saturday night's main event. Okay, here's your matches, but we're going to break for half of it. It just still feels like this money machine that I'm not necessarily
I'm finding
loving.
it really stale at the moment.
So stale.
It's not interesting. I'm hoping they pick things up to build to SummerSlam. They're going to have to, because you've got the two night thing.
Stadium.
Big Punk match on that show. But yeah, it's not particularly exciting. The fact that they're also, doing the same stories on both shows. You just have JC Mateo join Solo's group, and then the next episode you're having Bronson Reed joining Seth's group, and it's okay, this is the red version of this and this is the blue version of this. I'm not particularly interested. I'm hoping after Money in the Bank things kind of get a bit more interesting, and maybe need to just course correct a bit with this whole Cena thing because it's just not working.
Yeah, it stinks. I hate it. WWE might be as popular as it ever was, and they're making the most amount of money that they've ever had. But sometimes blockbuster movies make a shit ton of money and they fucking stink too. So I don't know. I can't stand it. I tried watching the SmackDown. Was like, this is not entertaining for me. And the stuff with Money in the Bank, I don't think they've necessarily done a good job. I think it's a gimmick that kind of has worked its way into selling itself, right? Like they've tried to do the stadium, and they did well when they came here, and I'm sure the pay-per-view do well, but I don't know. There's just something that's not working. And I think it's all some of the stuff. The Cena stuff doesn't help. It's your main attraction, and it just feels so lazy, so boring, so like mundane. It's just grouchy Cena. Is all he's doing is looking mean, and it's just like, man, all these years, and this is what we get from it. You can hear us rant about John Cena's title reign for at least 30 minutes with Hamflet and Benno, Davie, and myself on the Champ is Here episode 9 that we just put out, because we spent the first 30 minutes just talking about current day John Cena, and we're not alone on how much we hate this. So, but it's making them the most amount of money, so of course they're not going to do anything, because look at every fucking town is buying that T-shirt.
So I've been joking that the real Cena is tied up and gagged in a closet somewhere, right, and this is the clone. And then our friend Big Tom sent us something that yes, John Cena has been stuck in the Firefly Funhouse all that time.
This whole time he's been stuck.
And this is the evil version coming out of the Black Lodge and taking over. So maybe with the Wyatt Six back, they can our good friend Uncle Howdy can help get the John Cena of old back out of the Funhouse.
To be honest, that sounds miserable too. I don't want to watch any of that. I just feel like WWE right now, as popular as it is, so many friends and family members like, oh, wrestling, this and that. I'm seeing it more on TV. Like, I don't like it right now. It's just not for me right now. I really maybe it's this John Cena thing. We got so hyped up that one night in Toronto at the Dome, where it's like, oh my God, wrestling is about to change forever. It just didn't change the way maybe we thought it was, but they're still selling out. They're doing great. I just think maybe the hardcore fans right now are like, this is a little boring right now.
Yeah.
But hopefully they fix it. 2 nights at Stadium for SummerSlam. You got to heat some things up, whether that's Punk and Cena. What else can you do for one of those other nights? Like Seth versus Punk, if you're not doing Punk and Cena, like, I don't know. What are some of the big matches that you got to fill that stadium, which I'm sure they'll do regardless, but
I think, yeah, Punk Cena, it's either going to be SummerSlam or it's either going to be the last match of the year. Maybe it's Cody Cena rematch. The fact that we're having the tag match, maybe that is the match. And then, would you do Punk and Seth again? Not sure.
Yeah.
You'll have Roman coming back into the mix as well.
Roman comes back to help Punk win.
Yeah, maybe. Or if Seth's champion, Seth J rematch, that doesn't really do it for me. But yeah, maybe Seth Punk for the title could be a thing.
Yeah.
Anything else outside of the world of WWE before we say goodbye?
Dark Side of the Ring, season 6. I happened to catch up on some of these episodes, and wow, they knocked it out the park again. I really love this show, and I know this season just ended, but I'm already like bummed out because I enjoy watching it each week, and I can't wait for next season, because I'm not like, it came back and came and went so quickly, because I genuinely love this show. I tend to like documentaries. I tend to like weird things, true crime. It's kind of in that realm, but it mixes wrestling. So it's a bit of a perfect storm TV show for me. And I love when I learn things I didn't know. And there's so many episodes. The Billy Jack Haynes episode I finally watched was absolutely
nuts. I thought you'd like that one, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. Just absolutely bonkers. This guy is a wild dude. The craziest bit about this wasn't like things he said or people he's murdered.
It's the haircut.
It's his haircut.
Yeah.
In those streams. I was like, dude, you look like you would kill somebody. But that episode blew my mind. Got to shout out our boss, our boy, Joe Poe, John Pollock, for the last episode, season premiere in the Muhammad Hassan episode. Reporter, journalist John Pollock from Post Wrestling making his debut. Hopefully he shows up in some more. I would love to see him, but I thought he did a great job. Shout out the whole team. But that episode, like that's my wheelhouse right here, because I talked about 2005 being my favorite year of WWE because I was young and I was watching. But I watched that whole thing, Muhammad Hassan. I was watching from the beginning of it to the very end, and very interesting. Even back then, it was one of my favorite things to talk about and joke about. And finally getting to hear it from the horse's mouth, like hearing interviews with him, hearing people talk about, finally, Gene Snitsky. I don't know why he was there, but fuck it. He was working with the Maven, having to explain what 9/11 is.
Maven about 9/11, yeah. Snitsky was one when he showed up. I was like, who is that? And then the graphic, I was like, oh, of course it is. Like, I don't know why he was there, but cool.
He was working, like he would have been, probably road buddies or working with these guys around the time. So like totally makes sense that they had some 05 wrestlers. But yeah, what an interesting story. Like of again, another Vince McMahon Frankenstein's monster creation there of like
just such a shame, especially when you're hearing like them go, we really didn't want this. Like the original idea of the gimmick was not to be your stereotypical like terrorist gimmick or bad portrayal, and have him as, I'm an American and all that. And just as soon as they just went down the tropes, they always just go down the easy route, don't they? And just wasn't done well. I really enjoyed that episode. I pretty much stopped watching WWE just as he came in. So really didn't, obviously I'm familiar with the whole story since then, but I enjoyed this one. I've only got to watch the Daphne one. That's the only one I haven't seen yet.
I watched that yesterday. It was really sad. It was really depressing, but it also is. That's what I like about Dark Side is they're showcasing like there wouldn't necessarily be a documentary made about Daphne, and they did it. Like, you know what I mean? So I love that they're showing you like the dark side of this is like there's sad and involves like suicide and stuff like that. But it always shows you that these people are entertainers and put their bodies on the line, and look at what expense this comes to, like of all the stuff they got to go through mentally, physically, and everything. And this series does such a good job of showing so many different stories that are so different from one another. Like the Daphne one, Muhammad Hassan, Billy Jack Haynes, Tony Atlas and his feet. There's so many different things that like, wow, I love this show so much. So I can't wait for more of them because I genuinely love them. I think my favorite from this season was the Sheik. It was like I keep thinking I want to watch it a second time because I loved it so much. So I really enjoyed that one, and I would imagine maybe we get an episode on Sabu for season 7, considering like
I would think so. They've probably got other footage of him from interviews from this episode that they could draw from as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that would be really nice. Other things that come to mind, like the Ring Boy stuff. I wonder if you get an episode on that.
Yeah.
Considering that's not really been touched in this series. Vince McMahon, like whole back anthology series would be something.
There's Ashley Massaro.
I don't know if they'd go like that.
Hana Kimura, maybe like
Hana Kimura. Yeah. Any of the brawl out or all brawl in? Is that too like?
I think there's too many NDAs. I don't know if you'd be able to. Jake from the Windy City saying I'd like them to do an episode on Misawa's death.
Mike Awesome says
Awesome.
Chris Jones. Oh yeah, people
Mike
have been
Awesome
asking
would be
for
a good
that
one.
one. Yeah, that definitely comes to mind. There's so many of like these characters and people that disappeared or had so many issues within their life that you kind of forget about. But I don't need them all to be super dark side of the ring. It could be kind of middle.
No.
There could be some sun, like like the John Tenta. Like I like when they focus on characters and people I'm not necessarily too familiar with. That makes it even more interesting to learn about them and stuff. But I really love this show. The Sheik was my favorite episode this season, and I can't wait. Again, these guys are fantastic. Killed it. Absolutely loved it. Let us know what episodes would you want to see featured, because I'm sure they even put out a thread yesterday on their Twitter being like, hey guys, just wondering
what would you like to see?
and the ones we just mentioned, like Mike Awesome, people were saying, and things.
I mean, sure, most people were just like Vince McMahon. Like, come on, you cowards! A whole season on Vince McMahon. Yeah,
just sick the Bix out on him. Get Brandon Thurston. Put him in his place. Absolutely. Well, there you go. That was us talking about Dark Side. That was us talking about some wrestling from this whole week. Appreciate everyone out there listening. I see some familiar names in the chat. Appreciate you as always. We will be live this Tuesday night, 10:05 p.m. on Post Wrestling. We'll be talking about some NXT, some new champions, JC Jane, Ethan Page, and the Go Home show for Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank this week. And then stay tuned, because we will be doing a show in some way, shape, or form next Sunday. So follow us for that. If you're not following us on Instagram, Twitter, or Blue Sky, go do that. We have a Facebook page and a group that you can join as well. And we have tons more at poisonrana.ca and patreon.com/poisonrana. Become a friend, $5 to get so many different podcasts. And Champ is Here, episode 9, plus When Worlds Collide retro review this week, and so much more. But thank you to all the frogs out there. We appreciate you giving us your time today, and hope you have a good June. Happy Pride, happy June, happy everything. Follow me at the Bray D.
You can follow me at Davie Portman.
That is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And shout out Gene Snitsky.
Ahoy!
Poisonrana.